Any engineer Abdullah Mahama any nkomo. Engineer, good morning, Afishiapa.
Good morning, I've been committing na speaker, other than speaker of Africa and one.
Thank you, Medasi.
Walk away him, I'm also voice of Africa or voice of America.
Thank you. Medasi, Jamisha engineer. Na BBI fine there.
Nankupodum, the Hoya Pan, the people the person that o utifo ne ahwefo nyina omogana ha amutio de bia omhwewo obia fishapa amemo bia honden na yetifa ye wesu kakra nkosi ewiye na osan bia ne boni bia ntine.
Amen. Now you are a building and then a construction engineer. I mean civil
road and building consultant.
Pa wo mayimo. The education, ma yenye education about road construction. Minim se nan say wafa amasamba mpoku ase kwan ya ye so a. Ofa so ache.
Mfaso.
Okay. E kwan ya fa so a ye sa kwan no. Is that the right methodology as I say the yes kwan no?
Oh, sanity. They have had the complaints of people making some comments here and there, but such a magnitude of road now, anything built up area, no, it goes with a lot of challenges. Like I said some years back on the station, that road is the second most used road in Ghana in terms of traffic volume. 5 lane now and the repos in Kakrasa nebe. You know, say Ebinya Butrakana 10 lane there. In a very dense populated area, and you would have some of these challenges.
Yes, but
I have one condition, so I don't actually speak too much on the Amazon. I will explain to you later.
Okay.
So if you can move ahead and do other things.
Yes, but I'm saying, sir, why you be brave? Honor so I will lead the project to say. I mean, in the situation now, it looks as if say funtum bibia diafra. I mean, you don't see, say, be at one side of the road, you know, that construction no air happen. Na yeja the other side, my motorists and so etimi so. But in the case,
no, they can't do that because the nature of the type of construction and then the traffic volumes, you know, they cannot do that. And like I told you, I will explain to you things later because they contractually have an obligation. So let's move ahead and I will do other further discussions on the clearance on it.
Very well, but what about watering that particular stretch? I mean, say Anopebiana, Ewiana, and Nurebiano, you be making sure say ensure so. I mean,
so they have 14 water browsers on it, 14 water tankers. Unfortunately, when you're in the extremely dry season, the record that I know is almost water within 25 minutes maximum. Now, a final walk. With the 14 water browsers, it was more than adequate for the work. But because of sometimes the excessive speed of vehicles when the water is actually down on it now, and then the excessive temperature that we are already confronted with as a part of the global warming and other things. The instruction of water from the locations where they are getting the water to down the road before on the Kwaba, the Sensual Banner. It takes a longer time, and I know journalists. When I just say I would have a reason why not to talk on it on that particular one, I'll give you a reason later backstage. But let's continue. But they are doing some work, and then the motorists are supposed to also ensure that they adhere to the basic tenet. When you are driving on the road and they give you approaches from zero, say you are entering a construction zone. The worst you can go is 30 kilometers per hour, and you see that vehicles doing 80, 70 are the most ideal areas now. That's the reason why they give you 30 or 2 kilometers per hour on a 17 kilometer stretch. Every driver, most drivers on that road disrespect the construction conditions. Let's go ahead with your topic for this one.
When is it expected some will be projecting?
Off record, I can't be able to do that.
Okay, but I mean, per approximation, no, we are not told when the project will be done.
Those informations will come from the Ministry of Roads and Highways.
They will come from the Ministry of Roads and Highways.
Yes, Ghana Highway Authority, Ministry of Roads and Highways.
Okay. Engineer, I don't permit us.
You brought about the tool, right?
Yes, you want to comment on that? My producer, there's also prompt me on it. Is and cabo and opera where you know.
That was the reason why they called. So that's why I was trying to, because I told he based it on the fact that.
I understand, but I mean, let me listen to your quick one, because the honorable minister designate Andra raised concerns about the level of debt and what the road sector no emo. Now his major concerns and he said, why do we have to pile up? I mean, a cano say do those levels, and yet contractors yentimi entry our moka to that extent. Again, he wished you be introducing the road tolls na ensamra may take care of the road fund nasikana e komuno. I mean, entimi endro the maximum sa you bet me the contractors noka ma edwuma womo eye and womo timi aye. Ma mintio on some of these proposals na yemfensi.
Your very station was my last TV interview, and that thing was a very sensitive program regarding the tool. I remember I was about let me historical student because hey, let me just play back one thing, because your station is full of records. If you can record a day I never interview now, you can play back that video. I said if the previous administration, the other the MPP was on in power, I said at the tail end of the MPP, if and you say and you ferry and I say maybe that means that we say if we go into retrospection now, we may have to introduce the tool before the end of the S1 and others administration, or immediately the MPP exit office, if that should be the case. The new administration would bring it up. In fact, those videos, if I can check my archives and then share the video with you, you have the video in your studio. And I was so emphatic that should happen. And if you look at just last year, the SYL and another administration, they raised it back that they were bringing it after last year, 2024.
Yes, I remember some minister from by any kind.
Yes, so they were actually in the process. But the process is that it's not just by way of saying, because if you're having any existing pool, like I said, the question of the tool was so illegal across the globe. No country performs better without having a road tool. In fact, I had my first investigation when that thing happened. I copied from one of the sister stations, City. I'm interview almost hundreds of drivers, commercial drivers. Let me take even private drivers out. Commercial drivers, and overwhelmingly about 92 to 94% were not satisfied about the reason why the tool was removed. 92%. That should let you know that it was a very unpopular decision by suspending the road tool. Even those who are doing commercial business were against the removal, because education has gotten to a certain level now. People are very enlightened. Their only concern was that the tool now, especially the location where the tools are mounted, there is an eyesore to see those areas have deteriorated to the sense that when you are paying something and you see that the road be so they wanted the road tools to be put into judicious use. Number two, now that the minister designates fantastic Agbodza, he's the first and foremost, he's the most closest in terms of technicalities who is being appointed by as a minister of roads and highways. Closest in terms of the appreciation of the area he is going to man. And I've always been saying, other ministry can be lawyers and other things. I don't have a problem. But you see, when it comes to road infrastructure, and you don't get somebody who has practiced over the years to actually appreciate what he's coming to sit on, before the person will face the learning curve, now, about 90 minutes, no. I am so for me, for instance, you know my biasness, I don't have any affiliate with any of the two. I am so excited to see the man's contribution, his analysis, his submissions yesterday. And I can say, oh man, over 100 in terms of architect, all right. But appreciation of technical contractual abilities or of road appreciation, he was not less than 85% yesterday. From the scratch. That means that once he gets to the place and he's just giving some little brief, his appreciation will go higher. Now, when we get to the toll, and you want to start the toll, the reason why we have difficulty that when the policy just comes out, okay, let's start the toll by the end of March, or let's say by the end of April. The difficulty will be that we will not have those lotto kiosks now idea toll. We do a immense lotto kiosks be simply idea toll. No.
Yes.
The challenge that existed must be eradicated or must be minimized. You need to have maybe there 400 meters before you get to the location of the toll. You have to widen the road. If you know the approach to the toll, you have to widen the place. If it was an existing 2 lane, minimum should be about 4 lanes.
Okay.
And then when you finish paying and you're about to move into the 2 lane again now, you need about another 400 meters or less so that the vehicles can accelerate. And then before we are coming back into their existing 2 carriageway now, there will not be bottleneck because some cars are much faster than the others. So only trailer, if you have 2 wheels, let's say Salunka, who can for the next 400 meters. Obviously, you get to the place before the trailer will get there.
Yes.
So that is the reason why we have the deceleration that you be 400 meters before the approach, why in the 4 lane, so that you have a luxury of doing toll. Everybody can move to any of the toll booth or the plaza to pay, and then when you are done paying, you move back again into the existing carriageway by 400 or 500 meter radius. Number 2, in doing so, it means that government has to acquire additional lands. So if you want to maintain the location of the existing toll, you don't want to move it strategically because of trying to get amass all your money within that set location now. You need to acquire additional lands within the periphery. Yeah. That means that if the lands there are a follower, good for you. You will just only compensate for the owners of the land with certification of their documents. Okay. But if there are buildings on it, you have to now come in, value the buildings, measure, have a discussion with the people, pay, and then give them maybe 2-3 months, demolish those houses, and then now widen the road. That's what I'm saying. The policy can come today, but it may take not less than 6 months.
Okay.
To be able to acquire those lands and then improve the carriageway so that you can now minimize the congestion of the traffic in that place.
Yes, but
and then lastly, when they are done, in the event that we're able to get the land, widen the carriageway from maybe from 2 to 4 or whatever it is now, we have to cordon off the place and make it a stern warning that no hawker should be found within the chain fencing, because you have actually fenced the place to avoid people conflicting with hawkers before they pay, and when they pay and they want to accelerate, they are conflicting with hawkers before they move to the designated carriageways. So these are the things that, in fact, if the minister wants some people who are attached to us to sit with him, we will all come and sit down as Ghanaians and profile technical solutions, because all this is found in Kessben TV. You have all those informations I've already shared with you by video.
Yes, but the last question I was asked though, and it's how should it be done? Yenye no manpower to say the already existing one, and yenye no automated. So to speak, I mean, who out here now call baby.
Beautiful. I have said this thing, and I'm sure when you go to YouTube or just Google Engineer Mahama on toll booth and other things, I have maybe some of you who are the hosts, video you read more, but Ghana hano nka mikoka sebi o nse hundu o Ghana ha nka to it's gonna echo viral. Someone said the Ghana said the when it comes to media negativity. This information, I've been championing even on my Facebook wall. In fact, Engineer Mahama Abdullah is my Facebook. Or when you go to my Twitter at Mahama_Abdullah, on my own leisure time, I try to educate those who listen. Now the question you are talking about, say, what do you call it?
Automation and manual.
Automation. Now there are 2 things for automation. You cannot do wholesale automation. Okay. So that maybe you can take sebi or maybe them na non-commodity no me ejumano. Go back. The only thing that before you do the automation, how do you automate the Burkinabe tracks? Fine. I don't know whether you have an answer for me.
No, I don't. I meet you as an expert.
You need to have, so in the wisdom of the processes that we've already engaged ourselves as Ghanaians, now the national identification card becomes very important. So if we don't finalize to synchronize, this is my submission I've made over the last 3 years, that the fast tracking of the national identification card, synchronizing with your DVLA driving license, that leads to owners of some particular vehicles. So let's say I own 3 cars. And then in synchronizing my DVLA data to my national identification, it has been synchronized. So it becomes like prepaid card that I'm paying. This one I'm giving you, but those who are the IT guys will sit down with us, and then when we give them our thing, they will now analyze and finalize what we are talking about. So if I have my national ID card, which is the national ID card, synchronizing with my data at DVLA, my vehicles have a link with my ID card. So if I pay 100 Ghana cedis cumulative, anytime I get to the designated area with the CCTV cameras, which are also synchronized with DVLA and those who the tax Ghana Revenue Authority who are supposed to do the deductions to the sector ministry now. Once my car is passing, we say we do toll booth now. Now that this car, this light, a flash, those lights, So they pick your car number. And immediately it reflects to one of the institutions which are mandated to be doing the synchronization and collection. So there will be deduction as to how many times you are using the place, by which time it do by the end of the month. That's another make us about 6 weeks. Depending on the number of units auto or card and so. Say usikano I exhaust here. You ought to go in and increase your to reload your card. Now, because your national identification is linked to your bank transactions, is linked to your telcos, is linked to your MTN, your Telcel, whatever. If you falter after 2 weeks now, there's a flag. That will be flagged even in all your transactions at at the bank, at the telco, so that you may have to pay before you are relieved of your flag, the red flag. So this is a very complex thing, but everything will come back to the national identification. That will be synchronized with other cards, so that you can now make the e-card very practical. But the reason why I just said that we cannot do the other ones, we don't have that international with the Burkinabe or the Nigerian one. So that's why I say may 7 tour. Maybe 2 of the tour will be left solely for the foreign trucks.
Okay.
So that when they get there, they will be manually paying their toll until we find a way to the IT expert, I'm just a civil engineer. The IT guys will now find a way to be able to synchronize those people to whenever they're coming to the country. Maybe when they get to Boko, and I said our entry point now, they do some entry. When they do some entry there now, then it reflects with our temporal national base, so that when they move into and they are going out now, that thing will reflect, so that they can also start to use the automated one without any problem. But it's a very complex, but the basic is a national identification, synchronizing with our DVLA, our driving license, and our ownership of vehicles, so that say, oh, speaker, say me will fear, now say, Sebio, over me car, air call of Uncle Akoya, of Uncle Eba Atmota, there's no two.
Exactly.
What does it? Now say me will say, me phone a blank say, yeah, Timmy tour. Indirectly, I'll know that you are on the motorway.
Exactly.
This is coming from me, Engineer Mahama.
Very well. Engineer, I'm grateful for the insight. Why? But I wanted to, I won't worry you. Thank you very much for your time. I'm grateful.
Yes, sir.